This is the Cross Stitch Tracker spreadsheet. It has several different tabs, which we will go through once we get started. This is the first one that you will see when you open the file. You are going to start with the Projects tab. And the first thing that you are going to want to do is enter your start date of when you plan to start using the file. You want to double click and then use the date selector to select your date. Pick the first of whichever month you want to start on. It doesn't have to be this month, it can be the previous month or a few months before. It's just the date that the spreadsheet will use to look at the 12-month period that we're going to focus on. The next thing that we're going to want to do is pick the start date, so either Sunday or Monday. This will update the different calendars that you can see in the spreadsheet for what weekday you want them to start on. Once you've done that, you will enter in your project information. So you can see here there's two separate sections. There is the lighter green area, which is enter your info here, and then there's the darker green area, which is don't enter anything here. This will auto-populate once we start using the spreadsheet. So the first thing that you are going to want to do is enter in your project name. So you're going to click on the cell, type your name, and type the information and press enter. Style, this is a drop down, and you can select them. You also don't need to use this information if you don't want to. You can also type in the cell, so if you're looking for the word nature, you can type it and select it. The start date, so when you plan to start working on the project and when you're hoping to finish the project by. Other than that, that's all you need to enter for each project. The only things that are really important are the project name, the total stitches, and the start and finish goal. The other things that are on this tab you will see here is a bit of a summary of where you're at currently. It will sum how many stitches you have for all of your projects, and then sum all of the information there as well. There are some graphs and charts, which when we fill in the spreadsheet, we will come back to and see. The other thing on this tab is the project timeline. So you have the choice to select how far in advance you'd like to see the timeline laid out for you. There's 1 to 5 years. And then it will also show you what your work in project count is. So let's move on to the stitch tracker, which is the next tab. On this tab, you will record how much time you spend cross-stitching and how many stitches you've made. So to use this tab, you will double-click to select the date you worked on a project. You select the project, you enter how many stitches you did and how much time you spent in minutes, and then optionally, if you want to, enter any notes. I will do that one more time. And then let's click back to our projects tab so that we can see what's changed. So we can see over here that we can see our progress in stitches, the percentage and bar graph have updated, and we can see our project status is now in progress. In addition, if we slide over here, we can see our project name, and we can see that the timeline has filled in for the dates that we're planning to work on this project, which is from February to April. We can also see that for each of these weeks or time periods that we have currently one project on the go during this time. I've entered some data into the projects and the stitch tracker tab so that we can see the file come to life a little bit more. You can see at the top of the project tracker here all of the data, so that it's showing you your total stitches completed over time, what the actual count is, how many you have left to make, how many days you've spent working on your projects, how many stitches you're getting done per day, as well as a summary of all the projects that you've got going on. Now, one of the features here in the light blue section that we haven't talked about yet is the option to make the project on hold. Let's say you realize that this Garden of Whimsy project just isn't for you, or it is taking way too long. You can put the project on hold, and that will update here as well as here, so we can see in our timeline chart what is happening. If we click over to our calendar tab, we can see that all of our data that we have inputted into the projects and stitch tracker tabs are showing up here. So we can see the projects that we have planned to work on this month and whether or not we have worked on them. We can also see how many stitches we have made each week, along with a trend graph. On each day of the month, you can see what projects you've worked on and how many stitches and time you've spent on each day. This calendar will change when you change the month, so you will just use the drop down and select, and you can see as you change it, it updates for you. Down here at the bottom of the tab, there's a place for you to enter notes. If there's anything you want to remember, these do not change with the month, so these are static, along with the goal setting. So if there's any goals that you want to track or work towards, you can enter a start date, double click, an end date, double click, and then type in your goal, and when you complete it, you can simply tick it off. So the next tab we are going to look at is the monthly summary. And again, it works with the drop down, so you can select whatever month you are looking at. Let's just go with January, as that's what's selected. So the first thing we have here is a calendar, and it shows you under each day how many stitches you've done on those days. It also shows you how many stitches you've done each week. Below that are monthly milestones that populate based on how many stitches you have done that month. So for example, if we switch over to last year, there'll be none. If we go into May, you can see that the milestones have changed along with your stitch counts. Going back to January, let's go over what we can see. So along the top, you have got a summary here, including how many stitches you've completed in this month, your best day, how many stitches you did, an update on the state of your projects, the total time you spent this month, and how many days and hours you have spent stitching. In addition, you can see your top projects. So you can see your top projects. This will give you 7, and then sum the rest under other, divided into a pie chart. You can also see how many stitches you've completed per day and how much time you have spent. The last chart over here is how many stitches you've completed for the month. So you can see the area graph showing you that it is an upward trend. There is also a monthly summary here, a little bit different than the milestones. Then at the bottom of the monthly summary tab, you can see here under monthly project summary, it tells you all of the projects that you worked on, how many times you worked on them or how many sessions you worked on them, how many stitches you contributed towards them, the amount of minutes, and the percentage you have completed in that month. Not overall, but just in this specific month, how much progress you've made towards completing a project. And the last thing here is the daily activity log, which gives a list of all the dates that you worked on cross-stitching this month, how many projects you worked on, which ones, the stitches that you completed each of those days, and then how much time that works out to, and a running stitch count for each day. So you can see it's going up, it's adding how many ever stitches you completed to the previous day's work. Next, we are going to look at the annual summary tab. The annual summary tab is a summary of the entire 12 months that you are working on. Next, we are going to look at the annual summary tab. So you can see here the months that we are looking at. So at the top of the file here, we've got some data again for you, including your total stitches that you've done year to date, the state of all your projects, how many days you've spent stitching in total, how much time that works out to, how many hours a day of the days that you do stitch, and then your best month overall. Again, we've got some milestones here that will change as your values or stats change. You've got the top projects that you've completed for the year, total stitches, days stitched per month, so you can see a bar graph visually, and then also the numbers as well. How many stitches you've completed per month, so you can see February you really did your best, November didn't get any work done, and then as well how much time you've spent. Down here you've got a stats chart, so you can see under each month the stats for yourself, so total projects started, total projects worked on, finished, stitched, total time spent, and how many stitches you've completed. All of this data here in the stats by month will auto-populate for you, so you do not need to enter anything on this tab, with the exception of entering some notes here if you need to or want to. The last chart on this tab is the project summary. So like the monthly summary, this gives you a project name, the progress that you've made overall, the current status of the project, how many sessions or times you've worked on it, how many minutes that is, the stitches you've made, and what the average stitches is per session. This is the Floss Inventory tab. The spreadsheet has a couple different functions. So first and foremost, it is a place for you to record the inventory you have of your floss. It predominantly works in DMC. So in order to use the inventory, you are going to double click like you do in the stitch tracker, enter the date, the color, how many you've bought. Let's say you bought 5. Likewise, you would enter how many you used. And this data will save into your floss chart over here, which we will go over in a second. With this, the dates aren't important. You just need to enter the DMC color and bought and used. You also do not need to put in separate lines. So for example, if on the first you bought 5 of 761 and you used 1, you can enter both. Up here at the top above the inventory, there's an inventory lookup. So you can use this drop down here under DMC thread and either select, or you could type in 3328. Select your thread and it will show you what your current inventory is along with how many you've bought and used. So you can see that we've used 2, we didn't have any, so it's giving us an inventory of -2. And then if we look up 761 just for one more example, you can see again the inventory is 4, we bought 5 and used 1. Beside it here is the floss conversion part of the spreadsheet, and this is what it looks like. It tracks obviously the quantity of floss that you have. In addition, it shows you all of the DMC colors and then all of the conversions into these brands. So there's 2 options to sort this spreadsheet, and I think this is important. So you can either sort them by color. So to do that, you would click the drop down, sort column, and go A to Z, and this will sort them like the DMC thread chart. Or if you want to sort them by number, you'll click the number arrow, sort column, and then sort A to Z, and these are in numerical order. You can switch back between them depending on how you want to look at the threads. And then in addition, up here at the top, there is a thread lookup if you want to convert one. So let's say we want to know what 304 is, it'll tell you the name and then what it is in all of the other thread brands included in this file. Now we are going to look at the last tab, the pattern inventory. This is the pattern inventory tab. You can use it to keep track of your kits and your patterns. It's a very straightforward process, so you'll just enter in the name of the project, the designer or brand, the kit or pattern, it's just a drop down, the fabric if you want, stitch count, the size of it, needles, the quantity that you have, the date added, double click and select, the price if you want to track how much you paid for something, and then the source, so for example, and if the name of the kit is in your projects here, it will update for you the status of the project. It will not copy over any of the information that you have entered in the rest of the spreadsheet. It will just check to tell you whether or not you are using it here in the status bar. Going back to the projects tab, there is a column here called style. And I just wanted to show you how to edit it. And so to do that, we are going to go up to the top ribbon here, go into view, hidden sheets, and show helper tab. So this is a tab that comes with the file, but it's designed to be hidden, which I will show you how to do in a minute. Over here, there is a style list starting in M24. And so if you want to change any of these styles or add to them, you would just click, type, and press enter. And whatever we enter here, so let's say winter, we can go back into projects, and in this section, it will be added to the types of styles. In addition, this is just some data collection that the spreadsheet uses, but the other thing I wanted to show you is the milestone bank over here. And it says here, if you want to add any milestones, use one of the milestone types, enter a threshold value, and then add your own comments. You can also change these comments if you want. It says to use one of the milestone types. That means anything in this column. So you want to use total stitches, total time, projects worked on, largest stitch day, one of those values. So you would type it in here. So for example, total time for the year, and then how many minutes. So we've got 30, let's do 100, and then you would just add a message here like 100 minutes, way to go. When you meet this milestone, it will update on your annual summary, as that is an annual summary milestone. To hide the helper tab, you are going to right click it, select hide sheet, and it will disappear. If you want it back again, it is view, hidden sheets, show helper tab. If you have any questions, we would love to help you with your spreadsheet. Please send us an email or a message on Etsy. Thanks so much for watching.